Ini komputer apa apa kan ya? Saya komputer.
Hello. Hello. Can all of you hear me? Asiya, Shabnam, Seher, Rajiv, Abdul Salam, Sandeep, Mohammed, C. Gopi, Sunil, Kelvin. Can all of you hear me well? Okay, great. I hope my voice is coming crystal clear to all of you. Okay, so yes, okay, great. So nice to interact with all of you after a long time, right? Some of you are new who don't know me, and some of you are old who knows me, like Rajiv, Asiya knows me, Seher knows me, Kelvin also, Sunil, right? So, welcome everyone to IMTS. Thank you for attending my class today. And to all of you who don't know me, my name is Vashisth. I am from India. I have done my MBA from IIM, right? And I am with IMTS from past 8 to 9 months, right? And I was on leave. I was on leave from past 1 month, I think, around, right? So let's start with the class. So can all of you hear me clearly? If anyone is not able to hear me clearly, you can reply to me in the chat box, and then I will try to resolve your issue. Okay, everyone write yes if you hear me clearly. Rajiv says yes, Sandeep says yes, Mohammed Abdul Hafi says yes. Okay. What about others? C. Gopi, Nazrullah. Okay, Ajit has just joined us. Ajit, can you hear me? Ajit in Nellikot. Okay, great. So Ajit, my name is Vashisth, right? I'm from India. I'm there with IMTS from past 8 to 9 months, right? But I was on leave from the past 1 month, right? So I'm joining back today again, right? Since you are new to me, so I'm just giving my introduction. Okay, so let's start. So the topic that that we will be discussing today is decision making. Okay, what first thought comes in your mind when you hear of the term decision making? Decision making in your professional life in particular. Shabaz, hi, how are you? Welcome to IMTS. I hope you can hear me clearly. What is decision making exactly, according to all of you? How will you define decision making, or how will you explain decision making? And why is it so important? Anyone? No one? No one wants to attempt? At least you can attempt or give it a try. Before you, Nazrullah says, before you start any work, to think how to do. Okay, good point. To select out of few. Okay, good point, Sunil. I think someone else has also joined. Deciding an action. Okay, good, Rajiv. Fahad has joined us. Fahad, good evening. Welcome to IMTS. Hope you are doing good. Okay, let me explain. See, decision making is nothing, it is the mental process of choosing from a set of alternatives. Right? Now suppose in front of you there is a situation, right? And for which there are multiple solutions, right? Or multiple ways in which you can deal with a situation or a problem. Then at that time you have the authority to take a decision on how to approach that problem or situation, right? Now there are certain parameters which you need to keep in mind at the time of taking a decision, right? Which is in the benefit, which is in your benefit, or if you are working in an organization, it should be in the benefit of the organization, or if you are the leader of a team, it should be in the benefit of your team, right? Based on these parameters, you take that decision, right? So we can define decision making it is the mental process of choosing from a set of alternatives, right? Every decision making process produces an outcome, right? Out of the various available solutions or ways, whatever decision you will take, it will always it always concludes to a solution or outcome, right? But you have to keep in mind that whether that outcome is benefit for you, your organization, or your team or not, right? So you have to choose, right? So decision making skills improves with time, with maturity. You can say that, right? So I will write the definition in the chat box so that all of you can see. Clear so far? Any doubts? Any doubts anyone has? So this is the definition. I've written it in the chat box, right? So decision making is the mental process of choosing from a set of alternatives. Every decision making process produces an outcome that might be an action, a recommendation, or an opinion. Right now, sometimes you don't have the authority to take the action, right, or to take the final decision. And right, you can only give your opinion, right, to the management or to your seniors, right? So those situations also occurs in an organization. Since doing nothing or remaining neutral is usually among the set of options one chooses from, right? Now there are people who hesitate in taking a decision, right? Because they have a fear in mind. They have a fear of their reputation being maligned, right? Or they have a fear of being scolded by their seniors or by their managers, right? So they try to hide from such situations, right? So what they do, they try to pass the responsibility to their other colleagues or their seniors, right? So that no one should blame them, right? So there are people like in the industry like them as well. Let me write down. This is the resource from where I've taken the decision. So how many of you are a good decision maker in your professional life? How many of you compare yourself with the definition what I told you just now? How many of you think that you have that quality? How many of you are good decision makers? Decision making at home. At home it's easy. I'm more concerned with the professional life, your office or your workplace at crucial times. Okay, Prabha is joined. Prabha, good evening. How are you? Thank you, Prabha. Nice to see you also. Hope you are doing good. Prabha, the topic that we are covering today is decision making. Okay, decision making in a working environment. Okay. Okay. Sunil wrote trying to be one. Right. One gets expertise in making a decision with time, right? With maturity, with experience, right? So this is the first page of the PPT, right? The basic definition is given. Decision making is the act of choosing one alternative from among a set of alternatives, right? Like I told you that for a particular situation, there are multiple ways to handle that situation, but which one you chooses, it depends on your thinking, your intellectuals, right, and keeping all the parameters in mind, all the concerned beneficiaries in mind, right. Second point, we have to first decide that a decision has to be made, and then secondly, identify a set of feasible alternatives before we select the one. Now, a good decision maker is one who keeps two things in mind. First, if any situation comes, if you feel that okay, I will not take the decision on this thing right now because I think because what I feel is if I take the decision later on, it will be much beneficial for me. Or sometimes a situation will come in which you will feel that okay, I need to get familiarize myself much more, right, with the situation, right. I need to get some more inputs from my colleagues or from my management before reaching to a decision, right. In that situation, instead of hurrying on taking a decision, we will not take a decision instantly, right. So we will try to get different inputs before reaching to a decision. Secondly, once we decide that that the time has come to take a decision on certain things or a certain situation in your working place, then at that time you go through all the, or many people note down all the feasible solutions and then think or decide among their teams what will be the conclusion if I take this decision, what will be the conclusion if I take the second decision, what will be the conclusion if I take the third decision, right. And after going through all the possible ways, all the possible alternatives, then they choose the best one, which is right, which is best for the organization, for your individuality, or for your organization. Clear? This is the background of decision making. Let's proceed. Any doubts so far? Anyone has? And if anyone has any doubts, you can ask me, or should I proceed? Okay, let's move to the next slide. The next slide is the nature of decision making, right? So the first point is making effective decisions as well as recognizing when a bad decision has been made, and quickly responding to mistakes is a key ingredient in organizational effectiveness. Now see, all of us are not perfect, right? All of us are human, so we can make a mistake, right? So there might be a possibility that that we can make a wrong decision, and then later on we realize that the decision that we have made is wrong, or after taking the decision later on some inputs come to you, which changes your mind and which forces you to think that I could have taken the decision in a different way, which would be much more beneficial for the organization, or for your individuality, or for you as a person, right. So what to do in that situation? You have taken the decision, later on you realized that the decision which you have made is wrong, right, based on certain facts which you came to know about it later on. So what could you have done? What could a good decision maker should have done in that scenario? Learn from mistakes. Okay, good point, Prabha. think before we act. You are not getting my question. I am saying that you have the all of you have the authority to take a certain decision. You have made certain decision. Later on, which you came to know that the decision which you have taken is wrong. What would be your next step, or what would be your next action in that situation, as a good decision maker? To correct the things or to correct the situations. Corrective action. Okay, good point, Rajiv. Make alternate possible. Okay, good point. Okay, let's see. Making effective decisions as well as recognizing when a bad decision has been made and quickly responding to mistakes is a key ingredient in organizational effectiveness. Right, now here the terms to keep in mind is quickly responding to mistakes. Right. Some experts believe that decision making is the most basic and fundamental of all the managerial activities. Decision making is most closely linked with the planning function, right? How you plan. Root cause analysis, yes, that is one of the solutions which you can do, right? So planning is also a very important part of before taking a decision, right? So that planning means you are fully prepared to answer in any situation if someone cross questions you, if someone cross questions your decision. If you have made a decision by mistake, right, you should try to follow up that decision, and you should again you should try to make all the beneficiaries, all the concerned parties aware that earlier I was thinking in that manner. Now I got some more inputs from my colleagues or from my management, so I think this would be the right corrective step, right? And so in that way you can proceed. However, it is also a part of organizing, leading, and controlling. Clear, everyone? Any doubts so far anyone has? Kelvin, are you following me? Sandeep, Kelvin? Nazrullah, what about you? Are you following? Are you following me? Ajit? Okay, let's proceed. The next slide. Now, decision-making process. What does the decision-making process exactly is? So, in decision-making process, what do? We try to break up the steps or break up the problem into the various parts, and then try to work on each parts separately. Like suppose you face any problem in your workplace, right? So your first responsibility will be to define that problem, right? Now, once you have defined the problem, your next step will be to identify the factors for that problem. Next step will be to try to find the various alternatives, various potential alternatives, or try to develop the various potential alternatives or solutions for that problem. After that, the analyze stage comes, right? Where you analyze the alternatives which you have chosen, and then from the various alternatives available, you will choose the best alternatives, considering all the parameters which should be beneficial for you, your organization, or your team, and then implementing that decision. And once you have implemented the decision, you should establish and control an evaluation system. So this is the approach which all of us should follow. Yes, shortcuts works only in certain situations. Right. So these are the 7 steps which I have written on the whiteboard. And all of you see the 7 steps. Right. The first step is define the problem. Second is identify the limiting factors. Third is develop potential alternatives. Alternatives, you can also say it as solutions. Solution to the problem. I should write alternatives / solutions. Right. Then analyzing stage, then selecting the best solution, then implementing the decision, and then establishing a control and evaluation system. Okay, let me try to understand how many of you have got the opportunity in your organization where you will be given the opportunity to take a decision. Does anyone of you would like to share any situation which you have faced in your organization and you felt proud after taking the decision? In terms of pricing and selling, okay? Abdul says, again, because I'm explaining Abdul. Selecting the right supplier. Your voice is distorting. Can all of you hear me clearly? Because Abdul is not able to hear me clearly. The voice is not clear. Can all of you hear me clearly? Asya, Shabnam, Seher, Sandeep, say yes or no. I know echo. I'm using a headphone, so there is no chance of echo. I don't think so. It is little humming and sometimes disconnecting. Is it better now? One second, let me change the settings. Is it better now? Now check. Is it better? Is it better now? Everyone, please respond. Okay, I've changed the settings on WizIQ, right? So I'm using it after a long time WizIQ. So okay, great. So these were the 7 steps which one needs to follow for making a decision. Now, if we talk about the first step, defining the problem, what does the managers usually do in defining the problem? Right now, in this step, the manager identifies the real problem. Right, the accurate definition of problem affects all the steps that follow. Right, if the problem is inaccurately defined, right. Why is it important to define the problem? Right, until and unless you define the problem in simple terms, how will your management or your teammates or your colleagues who will be able to understand what the problem is and can give their inputs in resolving that problem. Let me type it down. Nazrullah, I'm coming to 2 first. Let's finish the first part. Yes, this is the first part. So all of you can read it along with me. The decision-making process begins when a manager identifies the real problem. The accurate definition of the problem affects all the steps that follow. If the problem is inaccurately defined, every step in the decision-making process will be based on an incorrect starting point. Right? One way that a manager can help determine the true problem in a situation is by identifying the problem separately from its symptoms. I hope all of you understand the meaning of the term symptoms. Right? The most obviously troubling situations found in organizations can usually be identified as symptoms of underlying problems. I will be sharing the symptoms table with you shortly. These symptoms all indicate that something is wrong with an organization, but they don't identify the root causes. A successful manager does not just attack the symptoms. He works to uncover the factors that cause these symptoms. Clear? Anas, is it clear to you? You have raised the hand. If you have any questions, you can ask. Right, now let's see the table with the symptoms. Let me share that table with you. 1 second. One second. Let me share that with you. Anyone has any doubts so far? Does anyone have any doubts? Okay, so you can see this table. I hope all of you can see this table. Symptoms and the real causes. Now suppose if in your organization you came up with a problem of low profits or declining sales. Right. These are the symptoms, right? So the problem could be the poor market research. I hope most of you are from the marketing or sales department, so you understand these terminologies. High costs. Suppose if the symptom is high costs, right? Your customers are complaining that the cost of your services or products are too high, right? The problem could be poor design process or poorly trained employees. It might be possible that the company has set the correct price, but the employees were poorly communicating with the customers of why the price is that much, or the concerned parties. Symptom is your employees have a low morale, right? Lack of communication between the management and the subordinates. This is the most common one. I hope all of you have faced this one. Clear everyone? Any doubts so far? Anyone else? What about others? See, I am expecting everyone to respond in the chat box, right? See, neither you can see me nor I can see you. The only way I will be able to understand whether you are understanding or not is through the chat box, and your replies in the chat box. Can high cost also depends on competition? See, here I have discussed high cost not in the perspective of competition with your competitors, right? I am explaining high cost in the perspective as a customer, right? Suppose if you are working in say in a showroom where you are selling a mobile, such as a Samsung mobile. Some customer visits you, right, and he told you that this mobile is very costly. Suppose say Samsung S5, Samsung Galaxy S5 is very costly. They might say to you that that I'm getting a much better mobile of Microsoft or Nokia or Motorola at the same price or even at lesser price. Now over there, the role of the Samsung employees comes, or the persons who are interacting with the customer comes, right? They should be well trained enough to convey the reasons of high cost to the customer, so that the customer is satisfied, and they, after the conversation, they should think that okay, the company is charging high because they are providing this specification, or this facility, which is not available in either Microsoft or Motorola sets. Getting my point, Abdul? Right. This is what we mean by high cost. High employee turnover. Right. Rate of pay too low. Suppose if there were a lot of employees in your organization, right? It means that the organization's focus is to increase the manpower, paying them less salary. Job design not suitable. High rate of absenteeism. Many employees are getting absent or not coming to the offices. What could be the problem? Employees believe that they are not valued. Right? The management of the organization does not value the work of their employees. Yeah. So these are the possible symptoms. Any doubts so far? Anyone else? Sunil says currently I am going through low profits or declining sales. It means you have poor market, that the person who has done the market research has not done it correctly. Right? He has not been able to understand the customer sentiments of what the customer is exactly looking for or expecting from the organization, right? So the best way is to do the market research again. Yes, that is not the final answer, but that could be the possible reason for that problem, right? What I said, that a lot of alternatives are available, but you have to choose the best one. Okay, so let's come back to the PPT. So decision making process, I already explained the steps. So let's go through quickly again. Recognizing and defining the nature of a decision situation, identifying the alternatives, choosing the best or the most effective alternative, and putting it into practice. Right? They have compressed the 7 steps into 4 steps. Sometimes effective decisions must be made to optimize. What do we mean by optimize? It's a very common maximize, yes. So with optimize, we mean some sets of factors such as the profit, sales, employees welfare, and market share, right? Or sometimes effective decisions must be made to minimize the loss or the expenses of employee turnover, or selecting the best method for going out of business, laying off employees, or terminating a strategic alliance. Right. So these are some of the situations in which one has to make a decision. Clear, everyone? Okay. Let's see. Managers make decisions about both problems, which is the undesirable situation, and opportunities. Right. Increasing business is what? Creating opportunities. Like for that only these sales and marketing guys are hired by the organizations. These marketing and sales guys will does what they visit various customers in the market or clients in the or companies in the market, and they will explain them about what their organization or company is selling, or what kind of solutions the company is making, or what kind of services the organization is providing. And then they try to find out what all things are going in the organization where they have visited, right? And then they try to get their convince the customer or the company that you can buy this solution. It will be beneficial for your organization in that particular way, or you can start taking this services. It will be beneficial for you in X way or Y way, right? So over there, decision making process is very handy, right? Managers make decisions about both problems and opportunities, right? So we have to create opportunities, right? So for increasing the revenue of the organization, right? Some of the examples are cutting the cost by 10%, or learning that the company has earned higher than the projected profit, right? Sometimes in short-run market conditions are not favorable in that case. Yes, that could also be the possibility, Prabha. It may take a long time before the manager can know for sure if the right decision was made. Right now, sometimes situation comes where a decision has to be made, but the effect of that decision, a manager came to know about it later on, right? Let's take a look at this cartoon. I am bringing you into the decision-making process. Ruggles here, flip this coin. This is a cartoon. Now, let's move to the types of decisions. What all types of decisions are made? Programmed decision. What do we mean by programmed decision? Can any one of you give me an example of a programmed decision? Let's see how many of you predefined. Okay. See, programmed decisions are those that a manager has encountered and made it in the past. Right. The decision the manager made was correct because he or she used the assistance of company policies, computations on a set of decision-making guidelines. Okay, let me type it down. 1 second. Let me type it down. Very structured planning, robotic actions, correct? Okay, let's read it quickly. Then we will see one example of it. Programmed decisions are those that a manager has encountered and made in the past. The decision the manager made was correct because he or she used the assistance of company policies, computations, or a set of decision-making guidelines. In addition to being well structured with predetermined rules regarding the decision-making process, programmed decisions may also be repetitive or routine as their outcome was successful in the past, right? Like someone was saying, learning from their past mistakes or learning from their past actions. That could be considered as a programmed decision. Or we can say a sure shot action of whose outcome the manager is already aware of. That okay, if I will take this decision, I know what the outcome will be. Right? Those are called programmed decisions. It generally does not take a manager as long as to come to a conclusion when faced with a business-related program decision because the challenge faced is not new, right? Or it might be possible that the manager has faced that same kind of situation in the past and he knows what decision he has taken at that time which was very effective. So he will take the same steps again, right? As a result, program decisions allow the manager to make streamlined and consistently effective choices. Yeah, let's take a look at an example. Let's take a look at one example. Example of a program decision. Individuals naturally make program decisions on a daily basis. For example, in an emergency, most people automatically decide to call 911. Right? 911 is the emergency number of US. Right? Like for India, it is 100. Since similarly for US, it is 911. From a business perspective, a company may create a standard routine for handling technical issues, customer service problems, or disciplinary matters. An employee's duties may become routine with repetition, like the process a mechanic uses to troubleshoot problem with the car customers start. Okay, Prabha, thank you. I was not aware of you. Okay, I will remember 999. Here, this is an example of a program decision. Next is unprogrammed decision. Clear, everyone? Any doubts so far? Okay. Next is unprogrammed decision, which is not programmed or which is not structured, as you can see from the name itself. Unprogrammed decisions involve scenarios that are new or novel and for which there are no proven answers to use a guide. Right now, there are situations which you are facing for the first time. Right? In such a case, a manager must make a decision that is unique to the situation and results in a tailored solution. Unprogrammed decisions generally take longer to make because of all the variables an individual must weigh and the fact that the information available is incomplete. So a manager cannot easily anticipate the outcome of his decision. Let's take a look at one example to understand it more clearly. An individual may make an unprogrammed decision when she visits a new restaurant, is unfamiliar with the menu, and the menu is in a language she does not understand. Right? In the business world, the makers of the earliest personal computers had to make unprogrammed decisions regarding the type of marketing to use to attract customers who possibly had never used a computer in the past. Right? The first example is very good. Suppose all of us understand English, right? Now suppose we visit some French restaurant, right? There the menu is written in French, right? You go through the menu, you don't understand anything what is written over there. Then you have to take the decision at that point only. What will be your decision? You will call the manager, right, all the attendant or the restaurant people who are there, and that understand or request them to provide it with one English menu, right, or your local language menu. That's over there you have to take an instantaneous decision, right, which is not programmed. Yes. Yes, everyone. Okay. Also, you can take an example of fast food companies also had to make an unprogrammed decision regarding the consumer concerns about high fat content and lack of healthy menu options. So these are the examples of unprogrammed decision making. Clear? So this is about the programmed decisions which I already discussed. Let's take a look at a few more examples. McDonald's employees are trained to make the Big Mac according to the specific procedures. Starbucks and many other organizations use programmed decision to purchase new supplies, coffee, beans, stuff, right? So the fixed schedule or the fixed format in programmed decisions, everyone has to follow the fixed format. In non-program, it is not fixed. As you can see from the picture, it is different. Right. Most of the decisions that your manager takes are unprogrammed. They are written. Most of the decisions made by the top managers involving strategy and organization decisions are non-programmed. Decisions about mergers, acquisitions and takeovers, new facilities, new products, labor contracts and legal issues are non-programmed decisions. Managers faced with non-programmed decisions must treat each one as unique, investing great amount of time, energy and resources into exploring the situation from all the views. Intuition and experience are major factors in these decisions. Here, this is what here programmed and unprogrammed decisions. Any doubts so far anyone has? I'm not able to see the response from all of you in the chat box. Friends, everyone, please respond in the chat box. Okay, Prabha says no, sir. Abdul says yes. Nazrullah says yes. What about Asiya, Shabnam, Seher, Kelvin, Ajit, Sanobar, Rajiv? Are you taking this topic in next class? Yes, I will be continuing with this topic in next class also. Why? Okay, let's continue. Now, decision-making conditions. What are the conditions one faces? One has to face in, or one has to deal with while taking a decision. She says non-programmed decision for Prava. Good one. Okay. Okay. Decision making. Okay, now let's see what all conditions are there under which one has to take a decision. Decision making under certainty. Next is decision making under risk. And next is decision making under uncertainty. Let's see each one of them. Decision making under certainty. I hope all of you are familiar with the term certainty. See, a state of certainty exists when a decision maker knows with reasonable certainty what the alternatives are and what conditions are associated with each alternative. Right. Very few organizational decisions, however, are made under these conditions, knowing the outcomes. Very good, Sunil. Right. The complex and turbulent environment in which business exists rarely allows for such decisions. Can anyone of you give an example of a decision making under certainty? Let's see who will give the examples. Decision making under certainty. Buy shares. So how can we, with buy shares, it might also be possible that the share price should go down. How can one be sure enough that it will go only up? To buy shares when it goes down, yes. Okay, one second. The decision to restock food supply, for example, when the goods in stock fall below a determined level, is a decision making under circumstance of certainty. Right. Now, suppose if you have a business of selling, that share example is good, right? That's fine. Okay. Buying a property at when the price is low, buying a land when the price is less. Now, next is decision making under risk. A state of risk exists when a decision maker makes decisions under a condition in which the availability of each alternative and its potential payoffs and costs are all associated with probability estimate. Decisions such as these are based on the past experience, relevant information, the advice of others, and the one's own judgment. Decision is calculated on the basis of which alternative has the highest probability of working effectively. Can anyone of you give an example of a decision under risk? Making decision under risk. Let's see who are the. Now, the example, all of you are like testing of a nuclear leakage in Japan after the tsunami hit them in 2011 is a risky decision made by the Japanese government, right? As the government do not know how wide the range of affecting area and the nuclear substance itself is a life-threatening factor. That could be one of the gambling, yes, when taking a loan while the job at risk. Yes, very good point. Hello. Okay, next is decision making under the uncertainty. A state of uncertainty exists when a decision maker does not know all of the alternatives, the risk associated with each, or the consequences each alternative is likely to have. Right? Most of the major decision making in today's organization is done under these conditions. Right? Now, like I said earlier, you have to make a decision, you don't know the impact of that decision, or you will only be able to know the impact of that decision after some time. Right? To make effective decision under these conditions, manager must secure as much relevant information as possible and approach the situation from a logical and rational view. Intuition, judgment, and experience always play major roles in the decision-making process under these conditions. Example. The best example are floods, right? Flood, for example, may causes panic and environment of uncertainty among the victims, which leads to uncertain decision making of the victims. Let me plant seeds with the hope of monsoon. Yes, right. So there are hundreds of examples. So this is they have summarized in the form of graph. This is uncertainty on the left extreme. On the right extreme there is absolute certainty. And in the middle there it's risk and uncertainty. Uncertainty means probabilities and expected outcomes are unknown, where the expected outcome of the decision you have made is not known. And certainty means probabilities and expected outcomes are known. So I'm ending in 2 minutes. Just wait. Some knowledge of probabilities and expected outcomes. Right. So this is the lower, this is the moderate, and this is the higher. Right. Clear, everyone? So we can stop over here today. Right. We will continue with this topic tomorrow. I have a class with all of you tomorrow at the same time. Right. And then we will continue with this topic. Now the homework for all of you is to come prepared with one example of all these three conditions: certainty, uncertainty, and risk. Right? I want all of you to be ready with one example and want you to demonstrate or show one example or write one example. Yeah, of decision making at risk, at certainty, and uncertainty. Right. So that is all for today. And please don't forget to fill the feedback form at the end of the class. Right. So thank you very much. Good night, all of you. Take care. If any one of you have any questions for me, you can ask me now, or else we can wind up the class. Okay. So thank you. Good night. See you tomorrow. Take care. And thank you for attending the class.